Hi there. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another informative weekend edition of Jamaica Magazine. We are so glad you could join us. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Coming up in this half hour, our Western Roundup journey with residents in St. Elizabeth who are getting land titles and social housing. Healthwise looks at the essential nutrients the body needs to stay healthy. And we'll be tracking the country's development in key sectors. Stick around for this enlightening package. It begins with this important message.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60 and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with for the same benefit.
Hi, today on Western Roundup, we take you to St. Elizabeth, where we're speaking with the residents who received land titles through the Systematic Land Registration (SLR) land titling program of the National Land Agency. We also speak with residents who received houses under the government's new social housing program. It promises to be good, so stick around. 35 residents in St. Elizabeth are now proud landowners, having received their certificates of title for property they have been occupying for several years. The titles, which have been issued under the inaugural Systematic Land Registration (SLR) program of the National Land Agency, represent a new day for the residents.
I am so excited, I'm so proud, because I own a part of a land. I didn't have a title, but now I have a title and I am a proud owner. My children have this to show. If anything happens, they have their title. I am so excited and I wish everybody could get on board and do this.
I feel great, pleasure, wonderful inside. This is a great, wonderful thing ever happened to us. And it's a good thing. I feel very proud because I have this land over 30 years. And this is the first opportunity I ever have it. So I'm very thankful and grateful. And this is a really wonderful move for us. The purpose was very easy and the people were very nice and they come to my house and it was just a good person. Everything was just wonderful. And I really appreciate it a lot.
I would encourage anyone to make a launch at this. It is very important because it has answered question that was bugging me, and there was no answer. I didn't know where to go, how to go about it, because the first thing come to my mind was about money. Nevertheless, here I am today.
The SLR program seeks to assist persons in obtaining titles through the process of adjudication for property they have been living on open, undisturbed, and undisputed for upwards of 12 years. It is projected that some 20,000 certificates of title will be distributed over the next 3 years under the program. For more information, visit the National Land Agency's website at www.nla.gov.jm. Meanwhile, 3 residents in Barbary Hall, Flagaman, and Rose Hall in St. Elizabeth are overjoyed having received houses under the government's new social housing program, NSHP.
Receiving this 2-bedroom house, I'm so grateful and thankful for it because where I live wasn't mine and I need somewhere to me and my son. So I don't want the house. I need the house, so I'm so thankful and glad.
I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you, sir. God bless you. I'm so grateful. I'm so overwhelmed, sir. And I pray that our God will continue to give you vision. The Bible said, without vision, people perish. And I know, sir, that this vision is from God. You run with the vision that you have got from God. And we appreciate it so much. On behalf of my family, the community, Shellyan, and everyone, we say thank you. And we pray that God continue to bless you and your team. And we wish you all the best.
The social housing initiative was developed to improve the housing condition of the country's poor and indigent population.
This program is born out of the desire to attend to the urgent needs of the Jamaican people. Many of these needs have been neglected for decades, to the point where many people feel that there is no prospects for them. And so there is an individual feeling of being dispossessed, marginalized, a feeling and a sense of being uncared for, unheard, and even unimportant. If you aggregate that individual feeling, then you get a sense of a community feeling that the people who they elect to lead, the people who are in charge, their government, does not care for them. And if you aggregate the community with that feeling to a nation, you can then begin to understand the distance between the people and their government. This is a program that is designed to be aligned with the deep desire of the Jamaican people for housing, for opportunities to be productive and to be employed.
The houses handed over include 2 3-bedroom dwellings constructed at a total cost of $10.7 million and a 2-bedroom dwelling constructed at a cost of $4.1 million. As of February 21, over 320 individuals have benefited from the new social housing program, with a total of 51 housing units completed throughout 28 constituencies across the island. And that's all for the program today. As usual, thanks for joining us for Western Roundup, where we take you from the corners of St. Elizabeth to the hilly terrains of St. Anne. Remember to send your feedback to jismabe@jis.gov.jm. Until next time, stay safe.
What a way you're full of our roots and culture. That was in Jamaica 60. Jamaica 60? What a piece of news, Miss Matty. I feel like my heart going bust up.
Just in, the island of Jamaica is on the verge of celebrating its 60th year of independence.
I only way to celebrating it. They say the people them in them come here, you know. But you see when our people decide, say the other people them free paper, no, them say if it's war, start it, whatever. We all collect medal panta fight, you know. Medal. Amount of tongue we give them, you know.
The celebrations are slated to begin on January 1st, 2022. Organized by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport. We have more in this report.
I am on site and planning activities are ablaze. Persons are advised to download the Reggae Jamaica app to know what it activities for the Jamaica 60 celebration.
I don't know the app to get the updates then.
As tourism continues to rebound from the impact of the global pandemic, we now look ahead to see how government will be investing in the growth and development of the sector, which is the top foreign currency earner. Here's the spend for the new financial year.
The general outlook for the upcoming fiscal year Madam Speaker, is quite positive.
The itinerary has already been planned, and the island's tourism business will continue this year on a budget of $11.5 billion. The Ministry of Tourism also expects to earn $55.4 million as appropriations in aid to supplement its efforts. $1 billion from the budget will go towards supporting the ministry's general operational capacity. This will include activities to support the pension planning program, the preparation of Tourism Strategy Action Plan TSAP, the Risk Crisis and Disaster Management Plan, among others.
We will continue to infuse our warmth and culture in everything we do to remind the world that this is the #1 place to be.
The promotion of our country as the preferred tourism destination for new and existing markets is priority #1 on the ministry's list for this financial year. $5.7 billion will go towards achieving this target. From this figure, $2.4 billion is for tourism support services, which will largely maintain the Jamaica Tourist Board's offices with marketing programs to increase visitor arrivals. The remaining $3.3 billion is set aside for destination marketing, and this will mainly assist with the cost of Brand Jamaica's advertisements on the various media platforms.
Jamaica's tourism sector is ripe for investment.
A slice of the pie totaling $4.8 billion will go towards tourism development. Under that umbrella, $2.3 billion is being spent on tourism product enhancement to support the operational cost of the Tourism Enhancement Fund. Tourism business development is being given $253.2 million to support the 5 key tourism networks of health and wellness, gastronomy, shopping, knowledge, and sports and entertainment. Destination assurance will continue this financial year with $2.2 billion. This includes further works being done by the Tourism Product Development Company Limited, TPDCO, to strengthen visitors' experience. Also included are expenses to improve several small projects, such as the Trenchtown Performance Space, the Black River Streetscape, the Spruce Up Pond Corner project, and the Milk River Rehabilitation Program. Behind the monetary figures is a commitment by the Ministry of Tourism to keep the flights coming in, the ships sailing, hotels and attractions open, and tourism booming in all aspects for the 2022 to 2023 financial year and beyond.
And a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything. And the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try. We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you'll even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concept of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone. right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going off on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children. It's a little harder in some ways, and in other ways it's a little easier because they do understand the difference between right and wrong. It's clearer what are some of the things that they love, and you can remove those things. But one of the things that's really important with teenagers is really to take the time to make sure that they understand that their feelings and their opinions are valued. So in the moment, yes, I'm removing these things, but I'm also having a conversation with you about why you won't have access to these things for a particular period, right? We're explaining why this thing might be dangerous to you, whether or not you agree with it. I am the parent, right? This is where I am coming from. It really requires a conversation because ultimately what you want to teach them to do, is to reason and to think, right? You don't want to just be disciplining and you're not helping them to think through it and to use proper judgment and reasoning skills. And so those are some of the things that you can try.
If the child becomes stubborn, the child is more obstinate, and the child has a fixed mindset, if you will, that this is what he or she is going to continue to do, then you might need professional help. You might need to call the commission, or you might need to call a social worker or a guidance counselor to help for you, because sometimes parents don't have the language either to even explain why this behavior is wrong. And that causes friction. Once the friction starts, then we recommend that you get a third party involved because it could become worse.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Before we end today's magazine, here's another timely reminder to keep track of your body's nutritional needs and ensure your food intake is supporting a healthy lifestyle.
The human brain is 60% fat. Fats provide a storehouse of energy for the body and promote normal cell growth and healthy skin. Fat also acts like a cushion and heat regulator to protect the heart, liver, and other vital organs. And as most people would know, fat adds flavor to our food and helps us feel full longer. It is clear that having fat in our diet is beneficial in many ways, but too much or the wrong kind can be equally harmful. Fat is a source of essential fatty acids which help the body absorb vitamins A, D, and E. There are 3 types. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fatty acids are both considered good fats. The third, saturated fatty acid, is what we are often encouraged to avoid or lower our intake. So too, trans fat, which is created by a process called hydrogenation that makes the fat harder at room temperature to increase the shelf life.
What is in our foods impact on the quality of our lives?
The World Health Organization recommends that trans fat intake be limited to less than 1% of total energy intake, which translates to less than 2.2 grams per day with a 2,000 calorie diet.
Studies have shown that saturated fat increases the amount of bad cholesterol or LDL in the blood and has no effect on the good cholesterol HDL. Trans fatty acids increase the amount of bad cholesterol in the blood and also reduce the amount of good cholesterol. Diets high in these bad fats are linked to obesity, heart disease, and other cardiovascular-related problems. Trans fat also causes malformation of cell membranes and other cell structures in the body, leading to weak cell walls and abnormal cell function. They are not recognized by enzymes and can cause neural degeneration and diminished brain function. So why then is trans fat used? Well, taste and economics. Trans fat makes food stay fresh on the shelf longer and improves food texture and flavor stability. Based on a 2021 assessment of the fatty acids in commonly consumed foods in Jamaica, our intake is very high.
If you look at confectionery, you see how high the percentage is there, and it comes down in several of the other food products. Okay, this is just the percentage that have trans fat. Notice that the canned foods had none at all, or the beverages that we looked at had no trans fat. Okay? But this is just saying whether there was trans fat in the product. What we are even more interested in is which products had high levels of trans fat. In terms of the highest concentrations, more than 2% of fat as trans fat, we see the dairy products, and it goes down like that. And then when we now look at those that had the same products that had high saturated fat along with the trans fat, we see the figures here.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is looking to change this and encourage better food production and consumption practices.
Healthier alternatives can be used that do not affect the taste or the cost of food.
Knowing what is in our food is part of the way forward. It is a lifestyle change to come through education, product reformulation, regulation, food labeling, and monitoring.
The elimination of industrially produced trans fats is part of a comprehensive policy package to prevent diet-related NCDs, which comprises mandatory food labeling, ingredients lists, nutrition panels declaring trans fats, interpretive front of package labeling based on nutrient profiles, restrictions on food marketing aimed at children and adolescents, mandatory standards for healthy food served in schools, and limits on sugar content.
It's not just about our resolve to do the right thing to consume what is in our best interest. That in and of itself is a challenge, because we have to now nudge, encourage, motivate, and in some instances legislate, I believe, certain types of actions to encourage better quality of life from a nutrition consumption standpoint. I think it is essential to advocating in the first instance for voluntary compliance as an immediate response.
As consumers, we have the choice of using naturally occurring unhydrogenated vegetable oils such as canola, safflower, sunflower, or olive oil. We can also limit red meat and choose lean cuts. It is also recommended that we steam, boil, or bake foods instead of cooking them in fats or oils. Another approach is to choose low-fat dairy products, poultry, and fish, and purchase processed foods made with unhydrogenated oils rather than partially or hydrogenated vegetable oils or saturated fats. Use soft margarines as a substitute for butter and choose soft margarine over the harder stick forms. Limit consumption of commercially fried foods and baked goods made with shortening or partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. Not only are these high in fat, but it is also likely to be trans fat. And cut back on foods high in dietary cholesterol. Let's eat healthy and live well.
I want to encourage the membership of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but more so the citizens of Jamaica to respond to the opportunity to be vaccinated. The evidence around suggests that most persons who are being hospitalized are those persons who have not taken any form of vaccine.
And that brings us to our final stop on today's journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine. Thanks for your company. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Until then, keep watching this and other programs on the JIS's YouTube channel. Visit our website, jis.gov.jm, and find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to protect yourself and others against COVID-19. Get vaccinated and maintain good hygiene practices. Wear your mask in the presence of other persons and do stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.